Chalo, let's start with a super quick revision of classification of imported and exported goods under customs. Okay, classification we had also discussed under GST in the introduction part. Now here we are studying under customs law. So whenever there is any particular goods imported or whenever there is any particular goods exported, at that time, to determine the rate of duty on that particular goods, we need to do the classification. That is the purpose why we are studying this particular chapter. So yes, just like for GST also, here also HSN classification has been done on the basis of HSN. On the basis of HSN, the goods have been divided into different headings, subheadings, sub-subheadings and all those things. And that has been already given in the schedules of the Customs Tariff Act. Yes, so whatever goods you are dealing in, whatever goods you have imported or whatever goods you have exported, you can find it in that first schedule and the second schedule of the Customs Tariff Act. You can find those particular goods, and besides those particular goods itself, the rate of duty is written for the purpose of determination. Okay, now starting with the chapter, everyone here. Now, since we are talking about classification, rate of duties, etc. So now Customs Tariff Act will become applicable here. Now in Customs Tariff Act, there are two schedules, okay, in which we are going to study about first schedule which talks about goods which are liable for import duty, and second schedule we are going to study about goods which are liable for export duty. Okay, mainly in this, since in India there are very few items on which export duty is applicable, because we want to export, we want to promote exports, we don't want to export the taxes to the other country. So there are very few products on which export duty is applicable, but mainly on import of goods, on almost all the goods the import duty is applicable, and that will be given in the first schedule. Okay, that will be given in the first schedule to the Customs Tariff Act. Now the HSN basis, okay, or the HSN method by which the classification etc. is done, that is an international standardized system that is not only valid only for India, that is valid for the entire world, because this was maintained by the World Customs Organization. Okay, they tried to keep uniformity in this HSN, and so this has to be adopted by everyone. Now in this HSN totally, okay, or this tariff item totally is given under 8 digits. Okay, first two digits are basically the chapter number. Okay, total 8 digits are there. First two digits are chapter number. Next two digits, if you add, it becomes a heading. Okay, then next two digits are of subheading, and last two digits are of subheading. Okay, that for the last two digits, that is till 8 digits when we go, then finally we get the rate of tax. This is how it is done. Now normally they say that whenever, let's say I am dealing into this AC remotes. Okay, whenever I am dealing into this AC remotes, I want to find out what is the rate of customs duty applicable on this AC remote. Okay, when I want to find out the rate of duty applicable on this AC remote, if I go to that particular first schedule of the Customs Tariff Act, and if I find an item called as AC remote, then directly I will check the rate and I will adopt that particular rate. But suppose if that item is not directly mentioned, or I have to apply my brains, then in that case they say that okay, no problem, you can apply the rules of interpretation. Okay, please use the rules of interpretation to interpret that HSN code and all those things, and also use the general explanatory notes to find out the correct rate of duty. Okay, totally we have got 6 rules which we are going to study, and we are having 3 general explanatory notes that we need to understand before we start doing the interpretation. Okay, now this first schedule of the Customs Tariff Act, that is which talks about the import duty. This first schedule comprises of 98 chapters. Okay, actually it is 97 plus 1. I'll tell you later on why. Okay, but 97 is universally, okay, 97 chapters which are grouped under 21 sections. So section is the main thing. Then there are 21 sections here. These 21 sections are divided into 98 chapters. Okay, 98 chapters. Then these chapters have some chapter notes, some description will be given for that. Then it has got heading, then it has got subheading, and then it has got subheading. Okay, I'll give you an example of that, don't worry at all. So this is how the first schedule looks like. Okay, broadly it is going to have 21 sections within it. Okay, and those 21 sections are going to have 98 chapters within that, and every chapter is going to have chapter notes, it is going to have heading, it is going to have subheadings and sub-subheadings. Okay, then whenever any particular note is given, okay, then in a particular heading there will be a single dash, then there will be a double dash, and then there will be a triple dash. Okay, means what? If there is a particular heading given here called as remote, okay, or let's say called as nuts, okay, let's say called as nuts, okay, and in the first point if it is written as cashew nuts, okay, if it is written as cashew nuts, okay, and if it is written as imported here, okay, cashew nuts is written, then in the second dash imported is written, and then dried is written in the third one. Means how are we supposed to read it? First of all, this heading is talking about nuts, okay, it is talking about nuts. In nuts also they are talking specifically only about cashew nuts. In cashew nuts also they are talking only about imported ones, and in imported ones also they are talking about dried. So can we also read it as dried imported cashew nuts? Yes, so 1, within that 2 points, and within that 3 points. This is how you're supposed to do the interpretation. Are you clear with this? Okay. Suppose if below this it is written here as, okay, let's say pistachios. Okay, let's say pistachios is written and 1 point is put here. Means this pista is falling under this nuts. Okay, this is coming with one heading now. This is coming with one heading. This cashew was also coming with one heading. So this is the main point under nuts. Now under pista, if it is written as salted, means here we are talking about, means this 2 is going to refer to this 1 dash. Okay, so means here they are talking about salted pista. Don't go and apply this salted to this cashew. Okay, that will be nonsense. Are you clear with this? Okay, so this 1 dash, 2 dash, 3 dash, this point is given under general explanatory note. Then second point under general explanatory note is in the first schedule to the Customs Tariff Act, there is also a column which contains the percentage. Okay, which contains the percentage, that is the rate of duty. So they are telling that the percentage which is given there, that is actually nothing but the rate of duty which is applicable. Okay, example, besides this dried, it was written as 40%. Means what do you mean by that? If there is any cashew nuts which are imported and which are dried, okay, then that will be taxable at the rate of 40%. Okay, then there is one more percentage which is given in your Customs Tariff Act, which refers to preferential rate. That is, if we are importing goods from a particular country with which we have specific agreement, then in that case lower rate of duty is applicable because of the trade agreements between two countries. So in that case preferential rate will be applicable, but if there is no preferential rate specified, then standard will be applicable. Okay, if there is nothing written in that particular column, but a particular percentage is written in standard, then the standard rate is going to apply. Okay, now see here, I will give you few terms here which you can use it for the purpose of interpretation. This is just an example. Now see, this is the chapter number. Okay, chapter number is 08, first 2 digits out of 8. Okay, then this is the title, edible fruits and nuts, peel of citrus fruits or melons. Then there are certain chapter notes. These chapter notes will be used. These chapter notes will be used for the purpose of interpretation. This has legal relevance. Now starts the table under this chapter number 8. Okay, one is your tariff item, then is your description of goods, then is your unit. That is, these products are generally denominated in kgs, and then you have got standard rate and preferential rate. So the 70% denotes what? This denotes your customs duty. But if the same product is imported from some preferential area, then 60% rate will become applicable, right? Now the one which has full 8 digits. Okay, the one which has got full 8 digits, that is your final tariff item and that is your final HSN code. And if you see, the rates are written only besides them. Okay, the rates are written only besides them. The rates will not be written besides coconut. Coconut is the main heading. Within coconut, which type of coconut, fresh, dried, etc. Besides that, the rate is going to be written. So accordingly, you have to do the interpretation there. Are you clear with this? Okay, now starting with the most important part of the chapter, that is rules. Okay, there were two things. Now, one was 6 rules of interpretation and the other one was general explanatory notes. Okay, rules of interpretation we are yet to do. General explanatory notes, 3 points we studied there. First point was that single dash, double dash and triple dash. So interpret it sequentially. Second one was what about the percentage which is given in the schedule. So that percentage is nothing but your tax rates. Right, and the last one, What if there is no preferential duty given? If there is no preferential rate of duty given, then standard rate of duty will apply in such cases, right? Now listen, now first of all, in rule number 1, okay, that is general rule of classification which everyone generally follows. Okay, now here they are telling that the title of the sections, chapter and subchapters, title of the section, chapters and subchapters. Okay, now let's say this is the chapter and this is the title. Okay, they say that this does not have any legal force. Okay, but the chapter notes which are given, okay, or the description which is given here besides the heading, this has legal relevance and you have to use it. You have to use it for the purpose of doing the interpretation. Are you clear with this? Okay, that was these are the two things which they have told. Then they are telling that suppose if yours is such a product for which the classification is easily possible, means you read the schedule and you can easily find your product, then they are telling then you need not apply the rules of interpretation. Then you can normally do the interpretation. Then you can normally do the classification. These rules are basically applicable for those people where interpretation is not possible easily. Okay, and yes, definitely the notes of one chapter, okay, whatever notes are given here, whatever chapter notes are given here, can we say these are applicable only to chapter number 8 and these cannot be applied to chapter number 9? Okay, every chapter are going to have different chapter notes. So these are the basic things that they have told in rule number 1. Now, if as per rule number 1 the classification is not possible, then they are telling that no problem, go to rule number 2A. Okay, now rule number 2A is very specific. Now they say that, let's say if I import car, okay, if I import car, import duty is equal to 40%. Okay, and then I think that how do I evade the import duty on this? So what I did was I imported car without steering. Okay, I imported car without steering or without seat, etc. And I told to the government that, sir, car is returned, but car without steering is not returned. So, sir, no import duty will be applicable because it is not mentioned in the first schedule. Government told me, go and refer rule number 2A. Rule number 2A says that if there is any incomplete item or if there is any unfinished item or if there is any unassembled item, means I have received everything but it is not assembled, then in that case it will have to be classified at the rates of the finished product. Means a car without steering has to be classified as a car only because it has got all the essential characteristics of the finished goods. Okay, that car without steering is having the characteristics of a car only. So it will be classified as a car. Are you clear with this? Okay, then going on to rule number 2B. Now rule number 2B, there are going to be 2 points under this. Rule number 2B, first point. Okay, first point they say that if there is a particular product, okay, if you are importing that product or if you are importing that product with a combination, with a mixture. Okay, example, I am importing tea and I am importing tea with masala or masala tea. Then all these will be classifiable under a single heading only. Okay, there is no problem with that. Coffee, normal coffee, coffee with chicory. Okay, so it will be classified as coffee only. Then another point is, let's say a particular product is made. Okay, a particular product is made with one more material. A particular product is made with one more material. Example, let's say this particular t-shirt. Okay, this particular t-shirt, let's say this is made out of cotton plus polyester, for example. Okay, and now in the tariff it is written as cotton t-shirts. Okay, if it is written as cotton t-shirts, 40% import duty. Okay, now I import this particular t-shirt and I write and I say to the government that, sir, this is 90% cotton but 10% polyester is there. So this is not cotton, this is not pure cotton. So import duty is not applicable because in schedule only cotton is written. So in that case, government will say, don't worry. Okay, cotton with mix of polyester or cotton will be classified under cotton itself. Okay, now suppose if there is a combination of 2 or more items. Okay, if there is means there is a mixture of 2 or more items, then they are telling that rule 2B is not applicable. Then for that, go to rule number 3. Okay, now in rule number 3 they are telling, there are 3 parts. First part they are telling that specific will override the general one. Okay, example, there is a hair dryer with motor fitted in it. Now this can be classified under hair dryer also, this can be classified under motor also. So they are telling which one is more specific. Here motor is not that important than hair dryer thing. So classify it as hair dryer. Okay, similarly, let's say there is a particular pencil. Okay, there is a particular pencil and a rubber is attached to it. So they are telling, should it be considered as pencil with rubber or should it be considered as rubber with pencil? Okay, so they are telling that which is the most important thing in that. So most important thing is pencil and rubber is just given for the purpose of convenience. So classify it as pencil. Okay, and last one is residuary thing, that later the better. Means let's say there is a heading called as 8701 and there is a heading called as 8702 and my product is classifiable under both. Then the one which came later, okay, the one which came later, that will be considered for the purpose of classification. Are you clear till here? Okay, then rule number 4, Akin rule. This is important. Rule number 4, Akin rule says that suppose if my product is not at all classifiable, means I could not even find it anywhere. Okay, then in that case they say akin product, means similar product. Okay, in similar product the classification is required to be done. Okay, example, let's say there is a product called as water bottles. Okay, and if I write it and I say it as a water sipper. Okay, water sipper for example. Okay, and if there is nothing called as water sipper, then similar product is water bottle. Classify it as water bottle. Are you clear with this? Yes, then the next one is rule number 5. Rule number 5 is also very simple. Now let's say there is a particular case or there is a particular container, okay, which is made for a particular product only. Example, guitar container, okay, guitar case which is used only for guitar. So here the levy of duty on guitar container on that case will be at the same rate as that of guitar. Okay, because it cannot be used for any other purpose, it can be used only for that purpose. Okay, now let's say there is a particular packing material called as cardboard box or a thermocol box which can be used for many products. Okay, which can be used for many products means it is not made only for guitar, for example, or it is not made only for this water bottle. Then in that case, packing material rate will apply, not the water bottle rate. Are you understanding this? Okay, a bucket imported with detergent powder. That bucket has got multiple uses, so it cannot be classified with detergent powder. Okay, it will be considered as a bucket separately. Are you understanding this? Yes. And the last one, rule number 6, they are telling that only subheadings at the same level are comparable. Only subheadings at the same level are comparable. Means what are they trying to tell us here? Okay, let's say this is the heading. Okay, let's say this is the heading called as 6701. And let's say, okay, just a basic example. Let's say here they are talking about nuts. Okay, they are talking about nuts. Then within that there is a subheading called as 670120 and then something called as 670130. Okay, 670120 talks about, let's say, cashew. Okay, and 670130 talks about, let's say, pistachios. So in that they are telling that. Okay, and this is one particular thing. And then there is another heading called as 4702, for example, which is talking about paper. Okay, and in this 470211 talks about tissue paper. Okay, and 470213 talks about carbon paper. Okay, so here they are telling that don't compare 670120 with 470211. I know this is also a subheading, this is also subheading, but this belongs to two different headings. These are not at all comparable. Are you clear with this? This is what they are trying to tell us here under the 6th rule. Are you clear with this? Okay, then the next one which talks about classification of parts. Now, if there is a particular part, okay, which can be used only with one machine. Okay, let's say if there is a particular button, okay, which can be used only with this AC remote, then in such a case, this part will also be classifiable at the rate at which this AC remote is classifiable. But if this button can be used in many other things, then it will be considered as a separate button item only. This is what is told in this classification of parts. Okay, and the last one which talks about project imports. Okay, now let's say if you want to set up a unit here in India, okay, and or if you want to do substantial expansion of a existing unit. Okay, one is you want to set up a new unit, or if you want to do substantial expansion of an existing unit. For that you want to import machinery, instruments, apparatus, all of this, and you're going to set it up at one particular place. Now, that machinery, instrument, apparatus, can we say those are classifiable under different heads? So, government said that don't worry. Okay, we will introduce a 98th chapter. Remember, I had told you 97 plus 1. So universally there are 97 chapters, but Indian tariff has introduced one more chapter, that is 98th chapter, which talks about project imports. For that a heading 9801 is given. Okay, 9801 is given, under which all the project imports are taxable at a consolidated rate. Means if I am importing a machine, if I am importing some apparatus, if I am importing anything along with that, then all these will be taxable at a consolidated rate. Okay, and if suppose Supreme Court gave a decision on that suppose if there is any individual item exemption, then you will be provided with that exemption also. Are you clear with this? So can we say this has become easy for us? Right? This has become easy for us, that is we need not do classification of different machineries under different headings. All of these imported here in India will be classified under one single heading only, 9801, and it will be taxable at a single consolidated rate. Now along with this machine, if you want to bring spare parts etc., you can bring, but only up to 10% of the value of the goods imported. Means their intention is that you should bring machines and not only spares. So spares are limited to 10% of the value of imports, and this method is actually used mainly by industries, okay, industrial plants, irrigation plants, mining projects, oil exploration projects etc., where they bring big machinery here in India. Are you clear with this? Yes. So this was all about your chapter. Examples etc. are given ahead in the chapter, which you can just read it on your own. Okay, the only thing to be done from the chapter is 6 rules of interpretation and 3 general explanatory notes. Just do this much and it would be sufficient. Yes, done.